the power plant has issued an emergency declaration. Since operation stopped after the earthquake, the cooling system broke down, and radioactive material was identified or detected in the vicinity. And since then, the pressure within the containment vessel has been mounting, and therefore the power plant has been venting out air from the vessel, trying to ease the mounting strain. However, there was an explosion in the building of the reactors, and this is Chief Cabinet Secretary Yukio Edano, who's saying that the reactors are surrounded with a concrete and reinforced concrete building, and the explosion caused the building walls to collapse. However, it is not an explosion of the containment vessel itself. Tokyo Electric Company says that it is very difficult to cool the reactor. Therefore, since 8 p.m. last night, they have injected seawater into the vessel to try to cool it down. The SDF force is helping in trying to inject seawater to cool the reactors, and neutrons are also being injected with boric acid to try to stop the reactors from operating. And according to the International Nuclear Event Scale, INES, it has been deemed that this incident is as serious as the JCO criticality accident that occurred 12 years ago in Tokai village of Ibaraki Prefecture. The Nuclear Industrial Safety Agency says that although this was caused by a massive earthquake, it is a very serious situation. Reactor number 3 at the Fukushima number 1 plant, as of 5 a.m., we have received another emergency notice, and the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister and the Minister involved is going to issue orders how to deal with this. The Tokyo Electric Power Company says that for this number 3 reactor, the cooling water is not being fed into the system, and therefore that is why they have issued an emergency situation declaration. This is the 6th reactor where this emergency declaration was issued. And the Fukushima number 2 plants, number 1, number 2, and number 4 reactors also are experiencing a rise in the cooling water temperature from 30 degrees to more than 100 degrees. The Fukushima number 1 and number 2 plants have not said when they will be able to completely shut down the reactors. Therefore, still concern continues in these power plants.
Now here, joining us is our professor, University of Tokyo, Professor Sekimura. We talked about cooling the reactor using seawater. Can you explain? Well, yes. In the reactor, we have the fuel, and it is in a condition of high temperature. And so we have to cool the reactor itself. And in order to cool the reactor, what is needed is to put water into this container, this part, yes. And we are supposed to place water. Not the pressure vessel, but the overall container. And for that, we need a large volume of water. And to find water, we will be using seawater. And then we'll be able to fill the whole container itself. However, wouldn't the seawater leak? But you're going to fill it, right? Yes. When the container is filled, we'll be able to cool in the pressure container. But of course, there will be some radiation inside the container. So therefore, the seawater that will be filled here will contain radioactive material. So therefore, we need to make sure that we will be able to contain the water which may leak, and management is required. And so by putting in the seawater, will we be able to secure safety of this reactor? Yes. Well, there are no major damage to the container itself, so we'll be able to secure the functionality of the container to keep the radioactive substance inside. So we believe that there will be no danger of massive amount of radioactive substances to leak. Well, yesterday there was an explosion, and the building is now only in framework now. So wouldn't there be any radioactive substances that will be leaking in the air? Of course, the building itself had a function of containing radioactive substances. It was very important, but even without the building, if the container is safe, we'll be able to contain radioactive substances inside the container. Also, this container itself is firm, so you believe that radioactive leakage will not happen. Yes. Then going forward, what will be the points to watch? Well, the temperature inside the reactor should be monitored, and we have to make sure that it will lower down. We have water inside, and so we have to make sure that it wouldn't boil. So that means that the temperature should be kept below 100 degrees. And until that point, we need to cool the reactor. Thank you very much. That was Professor Naoto Sekimura.
Now, next we go over to Sendai. We have a helicopter over the petrochemical complex. Excuse me? Well, yes, yesterday, due to the huge earthquake on the Pacific coast of Tohoku, we'll be expecting a tsunami. There